Okay, thank you, Ori. Okay, guys, here we go again. Another unit, the Cold War. Hopefully, you guys are doing well, and you did well on the World War II exam. Oh, look at there. We have war in parentheses. So keep that in mind. It's a very important part of this. 1945 to 1991, that's a long time. 41 plus 5, 46 years. 46 years long. And basically, it is the tension. It's not a real war. That's why it's war quotations. The tension and the fear between what two superpowers? Think about it. I think it was the last question on your World War II exam. Which two superpowers emerged after World War II? Thank you for raising your hand, Nick. U.S., good. And? Good, Nick. USSR. U.S. Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. Yeah, right, republic. A lot of these communist places like to call themselves republics. Republic is when you have a representative government where you elect people to represent you as senators or as congress people. Communist is not representative government. It's totalitarian government with government in total control. When Karl Marx wrote about communism, he said the workers of the world, my voice. It's like my 12-year-old it's cracking. Right, Adam? Say something so I can hear your voice is cracking. Say something. Say hi, students. See, it's cracking a little bit. He's 12. No, that wasn't cracking. Anyway, when Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, he said, workers of the world unite. The proletariat must rise up and gain power over these rich factory owners, over the huge wealthy businesses. Okay? And then someday after we take over and the government is in charge for a while, the government will wither away and everything will be shared. It'll be like a utopia. It'll be a wonderful world where nobody is hungry. Everybody's sharing. Communism in community. That's never happened. Basically, communist now is the exact opposite. I'm the government, you do what I tell you to do, or I'll send you to Siberia. I'm the government, or you do what I tell you to, or I'll send you to a work camp until you die. No freedom of press, no freedom of speech, no freedom to travel. You can't even leave the country without my permission. You guys got it? Communism is not real communism. It's totalitarian government, just like fascism, except maybe it's not as racist as Hitler and other fascists, but it's the same deal. So don't get tricked by that. A lot of Americans got tricked by communism in the Soviet Union. Thousands of Americans actually went over there thinking it was going to be this beautiful communistic place. Stalin was a madman, killing his own people. Total control, total control. Worship me like I'm a god. All right? All right. So, they did not fight directly. Put that in there, very important for the times 3. They did not fight directly. All right? So here's the Soviet Union. I'll put the red here. Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks, the red, the majority. Soviet Union, U.S. All right, I'll get a blue. Oh, here we go. Why wouldn't they fight directly? Lots of nukes. Lots of nukes. They knew if they fought a war, it would probably end up in World War III because they'd start nuking each other. The next thing you know, Einstein had the famous quote, World War IV will be fought with rocks or sticks and stones, I think he said. Think about that for a second. What does he mean by that? Thank you, Audrey. Good, exactly. Because after World War III, there'll be such annihilation. Good word, Audrey. There'll be so much annihilation. Everything will be so annihilated because of the nuclear bombs going off that we'll be back to the Stone Age and the cave person age, where we'll be throwing rocks at each other for the next war, World War IV. Okay? So keep that in mind. They did not fight directly. So instead of fighting directly, nuke, 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 they fought through Korea. North Korea, communist. South Korea, freedom, capitalism, democracy. Oh, we're not fighting directly, but we'll have these people fight. Vietnam, North Vietnam, communist. South Vietnam, democracy. Oh, we're not going to fight directly, but we'll have these people. And we fought, obviously, too. We had our own soldiers fighting. But we're not fighting directly at each other. We're fighting through. It's kind of like when you have parents that are angry at each other. Okay? Maybe you've seen movies or heard about this. You go tell your father that if he doesn't like my food, he can make his own food. And you got the kid going, Daddy, Mommy says that if you don't like the food, you can make your own food. Well, you go tell your mother that she would feed me something that's not slop. Mommy, Daddy said, see, it's very similar. Instead of the two parents going at it with each other, they fight through their children. It's a very important concept to understand with the Cold War. So instead of the two superpowers fighting directly with each other, they fight through the children, quote unquote, through Afghanistan, through Iraq, through Iran, through El Salvador, through Cuba, through North Korea, through Vietnam. All these places, on one side the Soviets were helping, and on the other side we were helping, like fighting through the kids, because they don't want to fight directly, because then World War IV will be fought with rocks. Got that? If you get that and think of the Cold War in that for the rest of your life, you got it. Okay? So that's why there's so much tension. Oh my gosh, who's gonna press the nuclear bomb? Oh my gosh, if they press it, we're gonna press it. Well, tension. And we'll talk about some of the crises that went on, that we were this close to nuclear war. This close. Okay. And by the way, this is when a lot of bomb shelters were being built. Billy, I've got some bad news. What, Daddy? I'm so excited about this swimming pool they're building in the backyard. Actually, no, Billy. I've decided now, because of all this tension with the Cold War and all these nuclear bombs that are about to be maybe going off, we're gonna build a bomb shelter in that hole. What? Yeah. If the nukes go off, we're gonna have enough food to live underneath there for 2 years. I don't want to live underground for 2 years. At least you'll be alive. Sam down the street is building a bomb shelter. I bet you guys know some people up here that have bomb shelters. Maybe they've been made recently, or probably in the 1950s or 60s. All right? Underground bomb shelters, even with a nuke, you could live under there for quite some time. It all started, it was a big business. It's a huge business. A lot of people making a lot of money building bomb shelters. That's part of the tension, the stress, the fear of the Cold War. When you think of the Cold War, think of this. That's why I'm acting like a bit of a madman now. You're like, Mr. Grady, slow down, easy. But it's just talking about it, you start feeling that tension. I mean, I'm pretty old. I grew up with that, where we had to duck underneath our seats. Okay, everybody, duck and cover, duck and cover. We practiced in kindergarten, jumping underneath our seats in case a nuclear bomb. The government wanted us to think that if we just go underneath our desk in school, we'll be okay. We all know that we would have been annihilated. Audrey's word, annihilated. Anyway. Okay, so let's go to the Yalta Conference. The Yalta Conference, Yalta, number one, is in Russia now, Soviet Union back then. Yalta is kind of like where rich people in Russia would go for their summer vacation. Now people rent houses out in Long Island, or they come up here. A lot of people are renting houses up here, especially with this virus coming up, getting out of the city, summer places, Yalta, or he's giving me the time saying I'm talking too long. But I want you guys to get this. So Yalta is where they met, the big three, FDR. Oh my God, he looks so old then. Oh no. FDR, Churchill, Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, who said, we will fight them in the beaches, we will fight them in the sea. Remember that from last World War II unit? And Stalin, which, by the way, it means man of steel. It wasn't even his real name. He made it up. Stalin's translation is man of steel. What? Call me man of steel. That's not your name. Now it is. Stalin, man of steel. The leader of the Soviet Union. Okay? So they meet in Yalta, off the Black Sea in the Soviet Union, to decide how they're going to divide up Germany and Europe when the war ends. They meet in March 1945. That's important to know. Because remember, Hitler's not even dead yet. Hitler died in April. And by the way, FDR is about to die. You're going to see the video of him. He's so old by then. He's only 63, but you can tell he's dying practically. We haven't even dropped bombs on Japan yet. That was August 1945. So this is February 1945. A lot of people get this mixed up. The Yalta Conference, the time after World War II, when the great leaders met to decide how they're going to divide up Europe. No, the war's not even over yet. Hitler hasn't even killed himself yet. They're confident that they're going to win, so they decided to meet. And I don't know why FDR went all the way to Yalta. When he got that phone call or whatever it was, what? I'm not going to Yalta. Let's meet in Paris. I'm going to stay at my favorite hotel there. No, tell Stalin to come to Paris. FDR should have never gone all the way to Yalta. I wonder if that's one of the reasons he died. Seriously, he was there a couple of weeks, staying up late, probably negotiating and everything. All right, so that's the Yalta Conference. Very important promise. Very important promise that Stalin made. Stalin and the Soviets had come into Eastern Europe. Okay, Hungary, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, Romania, all those Eastern European countries. Remember, the Soviet Union's coming down in to beat the Nazis and beat Hitler. Hitler's about to kill himself. So they had the tanks, they had the soldiers in these European countries, these Eastern European countries. We'll go east, yep. Eastern European countries. And Churchill and FDR are like, you're going to make sure you take their soldiers out of there. Oh, yes, I'll make sure. You're going to make sure they get to have elections. We want them to have democracy. Yes, yeah, well, I'll let them have free elections in Eastern Europe. You sure? Yeah, free elections in Eastern Europe. He never kept his promise. And that's basically what started the Cold War. Soviet Union would not leave Eastern Europe. And you know what? I don't really blame them in a way. You saw how many millions and millions and millions of people the Soviet Union lost. World War I and World War II, they lost more than anybody, right? Way more. Remember that just kept it going higher and higher. I'll never forget the first time I saw that video. So high. So they wanted Eastern Europe as a buffer. Think of it like this. Here's the Soviet Union. Here's Germany, France. They wanted Eastern Europe as a buffer so that it will buffer, meaning Germany can't invade them as easily. Remember, they lost more people in World War I and World War II than anybody. So maybe because Jasmine's family is part Russian, I'm like, and let's not always make the Russians the bad guys. Seriously. Russians had one of the greatest cultures in the history of the world with their literature and their music and their science. But because we were in this Cold War all these years, I wonder if Jasmine got made fun of because she was part Russian growing up in the U.S. Oh, you guys are the bad guys. No, so please don't do that. We were brainwashed into thinking Russia bad. Wonderful people. Jasmine visited there. We'll talk about that later. when she got older. Okay? So Russians wanted a buffer here. Eastern Europe is the buffer, so they can't be invaded as easily. I don't really blame them for not leaving. I know Stalin didn't keep his promise, but they lost so many people in both world wars. All right. So let's see some stuff here. Watch this.
Part of the conference, with much of the work already done.
Look how old he is. He's smoking. You kidding me?
With their staffs and civilian officials.
Look at FDR.
In the patio of Lavatia Palace. A memorable picture.
He's about to die in 2 months, guys. There's Churchill. We will fight them in the seas.
The conference proceeded.
There's Stalin. I'm not gonna.
The work of coming to agreement on the many problems involved. After 8 days, the conference ended. The Big Three released their joint statement. Substantial agreement was reached. Regular conferences of the United Nations would be held. The first in San Francisco, beginning April.
So that's a big one with the Yalta Conference. Put that here for the ×5 too, okay? United Nations basically starting in San Francisco. Now it's in New York, obviously, but San Francisco is where it started, all right? Ori, can you make sure this is good when I put it on here, buddy?
Yeah.
How does that look?
Yeah, that's good.
Good? You see all this too?
Yeah. Yeah, we see it.
All right. So number one, the United Nations, they decided to have United Nations. We did have the League of Nations, but the U.S. was never in it. So if one of the biggest superpowers is not in it, forget about it. Who's going to listen to it? So after World War II, we said, okay, let's be committed to the United Nations. That's going to be coming up in a second. Soviet Union never left Eastern Europe, so these Eastern European countries started having puppet governments, basically doing what Stalin wanted them to do. Put that down. Puppet governments start in Eastern Europe. It's very important, the concept. Yes, the communist is the best way of life. Yes, I'm following Stalin. Yes, I'm going to do what he says. I'm a puppet. I'm the leader of Czechoslovakia. They started a little later, actually. But I'm the leader of these Bulgaria, Romania countries, and I'm basically doing what Stalin tells me to do. Okay? Very important concept. It's called a puppet. Having a puppet government. All right. Churchill's Iron Curtain Speech. ×5. March 1946. Put that. March 1946. Number two, it was in Missouri, and the president at the time was from Missouri. Who's the president at the time? Let me choose. Frederick. Thank you for raising your college-bound hand. Correct. Harry Truman, the guy who decided the buck stops here. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. I dropped those 2 A-bombs on Japan, and I sleep at night. I saved American boys. That Harry Truman. Okay? He said, Churchill, come to America. Want to give a speech? Come here. We'll do it in Missouri, a small little college, Westminster College in Missouri. Okay? And Churchill gets up there basically and says this. Here we go. Time. Here we go.
Trieste in the Adriatic, an iron curtain has descended across the continent. Behind that line.
Let me do it again. There's the famous word. Listen.
An iron curtain has descended across the continent.
Iron curtain.
Behind that line lie all the capitals of the ancient states of Central and Eastern Europe. Warsaw, Berlin.
We're at Warsaw, Poland, Berlin.
Prague,
Czechoslovakia.
Budapest, Belgrade, Bucharest, and Sofia.
All these famous Eastern European cities in Eastern European countries. It's like an iron curtain has descended upon Europe. That's his famous Iron Curtain speech. Okay? Let's see if I can get the map real quick. Here we go. Come on. Okay, watch. This way. Okay, good. Here it is. Look, guys. See this? The red is the Iron Curtain. Look at all these countries. East Germany. Germany's been divided up. Keep that in mind. Germany's been divided up. West Germany, East Germany. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Soviet Union. Look how big the Soviet Union is. Romania, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Hungary, Albania. On that side is communism. Totalitarian government, you do what I tell you to do. On this side is capitalism, free enterprise. Some type of democracy. Hopefully people think they have some freedom with elections. Okay? See the red? That's the Iron Curtain. It wasn't a real curtain, but there were plenty of places where there was barbed wire. Now, who do you think's trying to get out? You think the Polish people are standing there going, oh, this is so nice being told to do by the Soviet Union. They have to do whatever they say. One of the reasons those curtains were there is because these guys were trying to get the heck out of there. Go get a good job in West Germany or France or someplace. Let me see, I think we have a... Pretty sure there was a barbed wire. Did this yesterday. Yes, there it is. See that? That's a real Iron Curtain. It's still there. I think this is in Czechoslovakia. Yeah, Czechoslovakia. So on one side of the curtain is communism, totalitarian government. You do what I tell you to do. Oh, your daughter's good at tumbling? She's going to be in the Olympics for us. What? What are you doing? You can't take my daughter. Yes, I can. She's going to be a gymnast. We're going to take her. She's only 6 years old. What? You don't want what's best for Soviet Union? It's true, guys. They had total control over the people. All right? That's the Iron Curtain speech. Oh, I think Jasmine's home. Doggy is running around. Corey, can you check it real quick, buddy? Thank you. You the man. Good?
Yeah, it's good.
Thanks, bud. So that's the Iron Curtain speech, okay? In a way, it was a warning, so put that. Also, Churchill warned the West being the democracies, that the Soviet Union was dividing the world up, that the Soviet Union would be a threat. You're like, but Mr. Grady, they were on our side. I thought we were friends with the Soviet Union. We both beat Hitler. But once again, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Soviet Union, US, we're both fighting Hitler. Okay? So we come together to beat Hitler, but we really weren't that friendly with each other. We had completely different ideologies. Is that you, Jesse?
Yes.
Okay, I'm right in the middle of it. I decided to get going. Next, the United Nations, the UN is formed in San Francisco. Now, there's a Security Council, very important with the United Nations. Security Council votes, and there's veto power. Usually there's 9, but there's 5 permanent members who always get to vote on if we should go to war or not. Think of it like that. If one country votes no, can't do it. Veto power is called. So who do you think the 5 Security Council permanent members are? Sophia M., thank you for raising your college-bound hand. What do you think the C is? Good. China. Sophia O. College-bound hand, thank you. France. Excellent. Let's go with Boy, all of these hands up. It's tough to choose with 26 hands up at one time, waving and waving. Can't wait to get the answer. B. Let's go with, in back, James. Britain. Nice. Maybe put England there, just to remind yourself. And 2 U's. Pretty easy. You think, Cal? US. And the other U. Nash. USSR. Excellent. And guess what? These countries are still the permanent members of the Security Council and the United Nations. Remember, the United Nations is basically tried to get it where we would not have another world war. Before we fight, let's get to these places and talk about it. Let's vote on things before we get into another war. Okay? Remember, the League of Nations, after World War I, the U.S. didn't want to have anything to do with it. It's one of the reasons the League of Nations didn't really work. U.S. was not involved. All right. Others rotate. How was work, Josh?
Good. I don't want to bother you for the middle of your thing.
Others rotate every 2 years. So there's other countries that get to rotate. Oh, I can't wait to vote on this. You're not voting. What? Your time's up. What do you mean? I'm going to vote. Yesterday, your 2 years is up. All right, I'll have to wait till another whatever. So every 2 years, but these 5, it's a big thing. These 5 are permanent members. And you see which country's not in there, right? Germany. Germany's not a permanent member, even though now Germany's got their stuff together and they're united again. We don't have East Germany, West Germany anymore. They've come back together. And they're one country, very powerful and influential country, and they're still not a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. All right? All right, I think I have a good video here on United Nations. Body bop. So glad you guys are so awake today.
We live in strange times.
Oh, commercial, skip ad. All right.
In 2015, the United Nations turned 70. Since World War II, the UN has existed to foster communication between its member states to achieve global goals, which would be impossible individually. So how do they do this? How exactly does the UN work? Well, the UN is divided into 6 main parts. The first is the General Assembly, which includes nearly all internationally recognized countries, making up 193 member states. The Assembly meets annually in September and debates issues on security and diplomacy. In 2015, the major topic is climate change and helping developing countries face the threat of global warming.
This is 5 years old, this
Within
video.
the General Assembly, resolutions relating to defense, as well as administrative issues like new membership and budget, require a 2/3 vote. Most other issues only need a majority. Every country, regardless of size, gets a single vote. However, there are 2 states in the UN which are not actual members: the Vatican, whose government is called
Oh, you're
Holy
moving the
See,
table.
and Palestine. These are called permanent non-member observer states.
Barely.
And while they
Okay.
can't vote, they are allowed to take part in debates. The second arm of the UN is the Security Council.
This is the most
It
famous
exists
one.
to prevent conflict on a large scale, promoting peace through diplomacy or sanctions. It only has 5 permanent members: Russia, France, China, the UK, and the US, which were all winning powers. in
Remember,
World War
Soviet
II.
Union is not
Permanent
Soviet Union now.
members
Now
have
it's
veto
Russia.
power,
It broke
and
up.
their use has been incredibly
Soviet Union
controversial.
broke up.
The US, for example, has vetoed dozens of resolutions against Israel for their actions in the Middle East. There are 10 more members representing Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and Western Europe. Those 10 are elected on a rolling basis every 2 years to make sure that major world regions have representation. The Security Council's resolutions are carried out by the UN's peacekeeping force, which boasts about 100,000.
By the way, these are the worst helmets ever. How would you like to be a soldier with a light blue helmet? Hey, there he is. Let me shoot his head off. I see the blue helmet. United Nations worst helmets ever. Light blue. Korean War was the first time the United Nations fought. I would hate to be running around with a light blue helmet on, standing out. Crazy.
1,000 soldiers. One of the most important parts of the UN is the Economic and Social Council, which works to improve standards of living and promote human rights. Most of what the UN actually does is centered around helping developing countries. The council
This is important, okay? Like with now the World Health Organization trying to stop this virus, that's United Nations stuff. They've done a lot of good stuff. They're really trying to help a lot of people. They help get rid of polio in Africa and a lot of other things. Almost more important than the Security Council is this type of stuff. They help try to get rid of AIDS around the world.
Specialized agencies like the World Health Organization and High Commission for Refugees to make that happen. The judicial arm of the UN is the International Court of Justice. This is where international law violations are debated and prosecuted.
This is called The Hague in Netherlands.
Can often refuse to comply with their decisions. The fifth arm of the UN is actually not operational. The Trusteeship Council was created in the 1940s to help developing territories and dependencies
Okay.
of independent countries.
All right, I think we're going to about run out of time with this one. I'll start a new video. And here's the... Oh, he doesn't want to picture himself with his pajamas on. Sorry.
What?
Okay, guys. See you in the next one. Part 2 coming up.